think that's all the questions. Thank
Okay.
you very much, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so, well, we're just 10 minutes over for lunch. Prompted by Steve Aldridge, he's actually made a suggestion. I don't know if people want to go along with this. If we actually move the panel session to the end of the event day, because I sort of get the impression quite a few people are likely to have questions. We had a lovely lunch and a chance to do a bit of networking. Excuse me. Right, if I can introduce Bruce Roger. Unfortunately, Andon can't be with us today due to a family bereavement, but Bruce is taking over that bit as well. So, back to you. Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Roger. I'm not Andon, as you'll gather, which is a great pity, because she's a far better speaker than I am. You're supposed to laugh at that bit. It's also a pity because she's actually the subject specialist in what I'm going to talk about. I'm the client, effectively. So, what do we... Got to put the obligatory PR slide up. Yay. So, what I'm going to talk about is our own staff accommodation. With both IT and estates in universities, there's quite often a bit of the cobbler's shoes thing. Yeah? We build fantastic facilities for our faculties, for our university administrations, but we don't have it. What do we actually want? I'm in the process of a refurbishment program at the moment. I want to create the best possible staff accommodation for my own team. But why do I want to do that? Is it because I'm a nice guy and I want the people working with me to think, this is a great guy, you know, give me this wonderful office? Or is it because I want them to be able to do their job better? It's actually a bit of both. So I've been doing the tour of various IT departments in my local area, other departments in the university, other commercial organisations round about, looking at how they accommodate their IT staff, looking for good examples of good practice and equally important examples of bad practice. This year I'm going round all these sites saying, I like that, I don't like that. Next year I want to be a reference site. I want people to be saying, let's go and see what Strathclyde did, and hopefully they get some good feedback from it. Right, why do we want to change? What do we have at the moment? Okay, I've got an IT technology department. My role is head of infrastructure services. My background's in networking, but now I drive a desk, I'm responsible for networking, servers, storage, audiovisual services, and stuff that doesn't really have a label, so it comes to my area. So we've got there's about 100 staff in our department, of which I look after about 40 of them. We're spread across several buildings, and there's not been a huge investment recently in our staff accommodation. Lovely building from the outside, less so from the inside. I can see Barry there smiling because he's worked in that building often. My colleague Jim worked in this building, and Jim was told on his first day at work, it's not a very nice building, Jim, sorry, but we're out of here in 2 years' time. Jim got his 40-year service badge last week. We are now out the building, but it only happened within the last year. So half our department were based in there. That was what we used to call the MIS department was in there. The other half of the department were based up here. Let's get greenery around it. It's got that kind of... It's the library building, it's got those slit windows, it looks a bit like the place where Kennedy was assassinated. And it's a modern, purpose-designed computing department for a forward-looking... Can you remember what you were doing on 14th November 1984? It wasn't yesterday. I'll give you a clue. Wham was number 1. So, purpose-designed data centre for 32 years ago. There's the press release from when it was launched. Yeah, you probably can't see the text, I'll read it out. £3 million computer centre. Now that's significant because in today's money that's £9 million investment. 3 VAX 11782s, the most advanced in any university in Britain, with capability of offering simultaneous service to 120 users. Wow. And we don't have these anymore. We do still have Yvonne. Yvonne's now our help desk supervisor. One of the more iconic pictures from last year or 2 years ago, Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, the road race. Look at the steepness of that hill. Those two buildings that I showed you, one's at the bottom of that hill, one's at the top of that hill. That's a barrier to communication. So what do we want now? It's obvious, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. We want something better. We want something a bit different. We need space, a well-designed office space. Open plan, but not open plan. Flexible, but not so flexible that it compromises. We want space for collaboration. And then my own bugbear, stuff. 2 years ago, I stood at this lectern at the previous one of these events, and I talked about disaster recovery and a fire that we'd had at the university. In the aftermath of that fire, we spent weeks taking stuff out of staff offices and moving it to a warehouse so that the staff could then go through it and see what they wanted to keep. Because everything was very important. We can't throw anything out. There were people that had been in offices for 30 years and had never thrown a thing out. They filled spaces bigger than this stage. But after they went through it and said, what do I actually need to take back to my nice new shiny space? They took one crate. But that operation cost the university a fortune. The amount of investment we had to have in removal. We spent £50,000 hiring packing crates. It was a ridiculously expensive process. We carry too much stuff with us. We need to downsize. Different people work in different ways. We all know that. So there's no one size fits all here. Some people have a quiet working environment. There's others, our web team, the creative side of the web team, they have stand-up fights in the office, and that's part of the creative process. We need collaborative space, we need private space. The biggest fights we have in any office, how hot is it? Who's got the heaters? Who got the control close to them? So we need to build this flexibility in. So how do we do it? We're trying to build a new space. We're taking a new approach to this transition using a process we've heard as transition management. My colleague Anne's a specialist. We'll now come to the bit in the presentation where I start getting a little bit woolly because I'm working from Anne's slides here. Anne also is a fantastic presenter. She could stand up out here with one slide and talk for 20 minutes. I can't do that. So these slides were put together on the plane on the way down this morning. So we put together a transition team with people from every operational area. But it's not just somebody from that team and somebody from that. It's somebody from each team who is authorised by their team to represent them, to make decisions for their team and say, this is what we want, we're going to go with it. We've had some creative workshops. We spent a lot of time saying, what does success for this project look like? How do we know when we get to the end that we've actually done a good job? And when the architect eventually does get involved, and he comes up with that plan, and that plan, how do we decide which one we want? I can look at plans and say, yeah, that one looks better than that one, but how do I actually critically evaluate that? We spent a lot of time looking at adjacencies. Like most IT departments, we've grown organically. We started small, we've got bigger. People have been fitted in where there was space. So your neighbours are maybe not the people that you work with most closely. So we spent a lot of time looking at who works with who needs to be close to who needs to be far away from who needs to be near the goods entrance, who needs to be near the front door. And then we've done something that the architect thought was really novel, but we've been doing it all the time. How do you actually score your preferences? That's exactly the same way as when you're doing a tender. You build up a tender matrix, you give each criteria, give it a score, give it a weight, and at the end of it you decide which supplier you're going to go with or which environment you're going to be looking at. Which brings me on to architects. I love architects. Some of my best friends are architects. They take your vision and they turn it into reality. Project managers, estate project managers fall into the same category. Taking this vision and making it a reality. But they can't create that vision, that's you guys. It's your department, you know your job better than anyone else. And only you can define what that vision is. The architect can maybe help you refine it. They can create it. They can build it. But the creation, that's down to us. So how do we do that? We've adopted a transition process. And this is where I'm starting to get a bit woolly because these are Anne's words. Where we've actually done an incredible amount of discovery process and limited design before the architect ever even gets involved. One of the problems we've had with some of our spaces is that the architects created what they thought we needed, and by the time we realised that this isn't quite what we expected, it's too late. So we've done a lot of creative work beforehand, and we've now got the architect coming to the transition teams, but for the first 2 meetings he was told, sit there, sit in your hands, don't say anything, just listen. At the most recent meeting, small group meeting, we got talking to him and he was saying, well, I think this is a good idea, he did some sketches. Yeah, that's almost exactly what we're looking for, because he'd already picked up on the adjacencies. That team needs to be near that team. That team needs goods access. That team are a reception team, they need to be near the front door. So what does your transition team do? They don't have a blank canvas. None of us have this blank canvas. We've got to sit within the business plan. We've got agreed goals, which my director has signed off. We've got a budget, we've got a timeline. The transition manager is basically to bring the soft side of the project, the layout, the furniture, the technology, the colours, the way people work, and fit that into the overall new build. So they're sitting between the client and the project manager. That's what my colleague Anne's doing, and she's not here today. So we talked about project management, change management, transition management. Project management, we all know, we all do it. Project manager, otherwise known as professional nag. Agreed? I know we've got one or two in the audience today. Here's the specification. Here's how we deploy it. Let's build it. Change management, again, we all know that. As a result of this project being implemented, what changes? How do we change the way we work? Is that a new policy? Is that open ways of working? It's looking at the end state, where you want to be, and working backwards from there. And then we come on to this transition management, which is the personal bit, the soft bit, the stuff that I don't understand, I'm a techie. It's taking people through the process of change from where they are now to where we want to be at the end to make our whole department work better. What needs to stop? What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to start doing? What changes? How do we get there? One thing we have to define very early in the process is what are we trying to do? What does this success, if this process is successful, what does it look like? So we can make up a big spreadsheet of all the things we want to get from this. Fundamental things are, does everybody fit in? Is it on budget? Can we do our day jobs? And then we get the softer stuff. How does the collaboration space compare with that department over there? Is it a bike store? Are there showers? Some people don't care about that. To other people, it's a deal breaker. So what we've been doing is we've now got a list of about 20, 30 criteria, which we are now weighting and scoring for every proposal that the architect comes up with. We've also done it for our existing accommodation and the temporary decant accommodation we're in, and hopefully the stuff we come up with in the end will be considerably higher than where we are at the moment. Otherwise we're all wasting our time. So, some words from Anne here. What we're doing is we're getting the client, the customers, the people that work for you. Get them involved in change as early as possible. We sometimes take the approach that it's too difficult, it's too time consuming. If you don't have the user engagement, it's not going to work. What I'm trying to do is In my annual review every year, your boss sets various aspirational targets. You know, I want to have the best IT department in the country. In the country. You've seen the first slide I put up. I put that one in for a reason because it said it was the University of the Year. We've got the NSS scores. Of the big universities in Scotland, we've got the highest IT NSS score this year. My boss is saying, I want you to build on that. I want you to have the best IT department in the country. To do that, we've got to the best accommodation. We've got to the best staff. And hopefully this is a way to get there. Got to get the big things right. The size, the space layout, the services, the adjacencies. Adjacencies is hugely important. It's the one that people sometimes miss. It's who works with who needs to be near who, which teams would work better if they were closer together, even though they don't at the moment. Which teams do you want to keep apart at all costs? Not because personality, but because that's a noisy team and that's a loud team. Little things matter as well. We've moved into decant accommodation at the moment. All 100 or whatever staff it is. And the things that caused the most hassle, the most consternation, were sinks. I need to make a cup of tea. I've got a hot water machine there, but the place to wash my cup is a minute's walk that way. That's a waste of time. When we put in a temporary sink for those people, they were over the moon. It's the best staff development process I've ever done in my life. Similarly, we've got one team where they commandeered an old storeroom, put some comfy chairs in, and a dartboard. It sounds trivial, but again, it's changed the whole atmosphere within that team. They're in a part of town where there's not a great deal of shops around, so at lunchtime, bit of chat, game of darts. I was stunned how much difference it made. So as I said earlier on, I've forgotten to order these slides, we've put together a scoring methodology like a tender, identifying measures of success, weighting all the criteria and scoring them. The architects found this very novel. We do it all the time when we're buying stuff. Why don't we use it for our own processes? So where are we today? I've got all the staff moved into decant. I've got 2 floors of a building which are ready for refurbishment. The downtakings and demolitions are due to start any time now. We haven't yet done the design of the new space. We know it's going to be roughly open plan. We know there's going to be toilets there because that's where they are. We know where the windows are. We know where the outside walls are. Nothing else is defined. We've also realised that sometimes this idea of bringing the whole department together because we'll work better together isn't right. We've got a space where we can bring the whole IT team together on the edge of the campus. We can all work together. We're close to the library, same building as the library. But there's one team sits within that, which is the Learning Spaces team. The audiovisual team provides support to spaces like this. And putting them on the edge of the campus is not the right place for them. They need to be in the heart of the teaching. So one of the early decisions we made in this project was, it doesn't work for them. Let's take them out of scope. They need to be somewhere else. So hopefully in a year's time, I'll have something good to tell you about or show you. If I don't, then obviously this is just nonsense. So back to this one. It's the aspirational. What we're trying to do is create a good, an excellent IT department, a centre of excellence. To do that, we've got to have accommodation that reflects those aspirations. And that's really all I've got to say. And I managed it with 5 minutes to spare. Okay, thank you. So, questions?
I've got one actually. So, basing it on René's talk earlier, would you consider that approach in terms of maybe making a space available and asking colleagues to go?
Definitely. What we've actually talked about at the moment is we are doing the downtakings and demolition and the construction as 2 separate contracts. So hopefully in 2 months' time, I'll have the open space. All the internal walls down, all the services out, floor plate, windows, nothing else. And we're talking about now having our project meetings or our design meetings in that space, with chalk, with chairs. Let's see what works.
You mentioned putting separate groups, depending if they are louder or less, etc. But considering that you may have projects and people from different groups getting together, are you not considering an agile type of environment within your environment, and how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah. One of the things in IT is that we can't predict the future. But what we do know is that we can't predict the future. Known unknowns and unknown unknowns. At present, we know that we have a number of our staff who are effectively out on secondment to finance to do some work with them. Some work in student records. We've got people from our business analytics departments coming and working with us. There's this constant moving about. So what we're determined to do here is not build hard boundaries. Make the space flexible enough to breathe, become larger, smaller. Try and do the divisions through soft divisions, either through furniture or divisions that are not expensive to move, to give us that flexibility. We don't know how many people are going to be based in our department as projects grow and contract, but we know there's always going to be some coming and going, and hopefully these will balance out. There's one up there. IT are always second bottom of the food chain. Estates are bottom of the food chain. I was talking to Barry at lunchtime there. He was saying, there's one thing I can say about estates are, in any university, estates always get more blame than IT. IT are the second in the blame hierarchy. And how do we ensure? In this case, there was another driver in that the building that I showed you first on the first slide has now been sold. We had to get out of that building. It was one of these buildings where Jim was told, you're out of here in 2 years' time, and everybody who started in that building has been told, you're out of here in 2 years' time, and that's been on for the last 40 years, which meant that there was planning blight there. There was no investment, no maintenance, just keep the building running, which meant it actually got to the stage where it's not economic for the university to keep it anymore. We're now out of that building, it's being sold, it's like to become a commercial student residence, but they're going to put a new roof on it and completely rebuild it. So that was the driver to get this one done.
Did you go from a position of cellular offices into open plan? And if so, what sort of resistance did you meet?
Yes and no. We had half of the department who were in 70s cellular office, individual office, two-in office, very few more than that. We also had another half of the department who were in semi-open plan, teams of 8, 9, 10. When we moved everyone into Decant, we swapped them over. We took the ones that were in cellular, moved them into open plan. We took the ones who were in open plan and moved them into cellular, just to see what works and what doesn't work. And the kickback from open plan has been less than I expected. But as long as you can keep the team sizes within constrained, what we don't want to do is create a call centre with the acres of space. We've been around lots of spaces, both within the university and in one or two of the businesses around about, looking at what works and what doesn't work, and what people like and what people don't like. They don't like one of our highest profile buildings that was opened last year, a great blaze of glory, Royal cutting the ribbon. They don't like that because it's too regimented. They like they like best the building that had the fire 2 or 3 years ago, because it was a 50s building with big, what had been labs, so it could be made into office accommodation for perhaps a dozen people. And the sizings worked there. So learning from the decant process is part of the overall project.
Hi, Joe Logan from Caledonian University in Avery years.
Here you've just moved into your new space?
We have, and we've actually moved into a new space with facilities management as well.
Yep.
So just when you were back up the road, if you want to come and visit.
The architect who's working in our place is also the one that did yours. So you're on our list.
Right, I think that's it. So thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.